Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and Jim Carrey portrayed Joe Biden last night for the third time on Saturday Night Live. And now this morning, he's trending, and not in a good way. A lot of fans online are not a fan of his performance of Joe Biden. I'm going to break down my thoughts. I'm going to answer, is this a bomb? What do I think? We're going to get to some of these tweets. But it's important I sort of explain to you, like, guys, I am a Saturday Night Live fan from back in the day. This is an amazing book. If you guys haven't read Live from New York, I highly recommend it, from the heyday. Saturday Night Live's always had ups and downs, always. And there have been seasons way worse than this one. The season with Chris Rock, Michael McKinnon, such an amazing cast, but such a bomb of a season. Look, there have been way worse casts and seasons for those of you who say, Saturday Night Live sucks. This season is very hit or miss, and I would say recently it's become more miss than hit. It really depends who's hosting it, but it does feel like there's a lot of autopilot sometimes. I'm a fan of Mikey Day, I got to say. He did those amazing David Blaine sketches way back, and I can see he does some interesting, fun ideas on this one. Like David S. Pumpkins was one of those random, stupid skits from a couple years ago that I really did enjoy. I like sometimes when they'll go that random direction. And so sometimes Saturday Night Live works, but right now, what they really end up doing is they stunt cast these performances, right? So when the political stuff, which is their heyday, it all started with Sarah Palin and Tina Fey, they stunt cast it. Now, Joe Biden had two performers who did it great before, Woody Harrelson and Jason Sudeikis. I preferred Jason Sudeikis' performance. I thought he did it best. Woody Harrelson was fine. He was laid back, and he was trying his best. But I think it just became clear Woody Harrelson just was busy and couldn't commit to be on lockdown for all these weeks. And what I was told I read an article about this with Lorne Michaels. Jim Carrey actually reached out to Lorne Michaels and said, hey, I'd love to do Joe Biden if you guys are looking. And it's hard to say no to Jim Carrey, right? It's hard because he's Jim Carrey, huge star, going to get ratings. And I think everyone was sort of cautiously optimistic, like, oh, cool. All right, well, Jim Carrey's coming to play Joe Biden for the next several weeks. I'll watch that. I was excited. Look, I'm a fan of Jim Carrey, a classic Jim Carrey, and I thought he brought it back in Sonic. It was a sort of finally we got to see the Jim Carrey I like. But Jim Carrey is a manic energy. He has got that, again, let me show you something, Fire Marshal Bill, that he's brought to this Joe Biden that I think is a little off-putting for some people. That said, while there are hints of that, there's also a lot of hints of just the actual slow, senile version of Biden that I think a lot of liberals online are just annoyed that Jim Carrey's doing. So that's the real truth to the breakdown of what's trending and what they're saying. So let's go through some of these tweets quickly, and I'm going to play a couple clips, and I'm going to do a comparison between a liberal site and a conservative site on how they review this. But here's a few tweets just right out. There's no reason SNL can't switch it up and replace Jim Carrey. It's a very good question, but look at the ratio in this is high. People agree. People want Saturday Night Live to switch him out. Could they? I don't think they can at this point. Unless Jim Carrey is like, I don't want to do it, it's going to look weak for both Saturday Night Live and Jim Carrey if they don't just commit and at least get through the next debate. Once he's elected or loses, whatever, maybe if we have President Joe Biden, will Jim Carrey commit? I bet you he won't. I bet you'll look him up with a new take. But I think right now they have to commit through at least the 5 weeks or whatever they did. They're also on lockdown. It's like a whole protocol to get someone in there and test it every week, every day, whatever. It's a hard thing to replace. I think people are underestimating. Here's another one that 21,000 likes to this, and it keeps growing by the second. I say this with love and respect. It's not too late to replace Jim Carrey and get anyone else, to play Joe Biden. Let Kate McKinnon do it. She's already there, and she'll nail the role. Have mercy on us all. Jim Carrey's manic energy couldn't be more off for Biden. It just doesn't work at all. That's not funny tonight. Jim Carrey, I love you, but read this thread as Biden fan. I'm sad to see him played as creepy. Many Biden fans in this thread are saying the same thing. Please portray Joe in a positive light. We need that for those that are still voting and undecided. And if you go through this thread, it's true. A lot of people, Jim Carrey's portrayal of Biden is ugly, lacking in any charm. Both Jason Sudeikis and Woody Harrelson brought an endearing quality to the role. I'm a Carrey fan, but he's miscast here. Carrey's Biden is just too creepy. I think Lauren underestimates how traumatized we're all by Trump, how desperately we need Biden to succeed. It feels like another punch to the gut when Jim Carrey makes Biden look so bad. For me, it's unwatchable. I like Jim Carrey's impression at first, but now I changed my mind. Jim Carrey's impression is just strange and creepy. It's all Jim Carrey. It's no Biden. So this is where things get honest, right? If we're breaking down this criticism of the role, it's becoming political because people don't. They absolutely knocked Biden a bit last night. My biggest criticism of the whole sketch was it just wasn't funny. As I said in the beginning, whatever side you're on, Alec Baldwin's Trump. is the same thing he's done for now several years. It's wearing thin. I think for a lot of Trump critics, Trump is wearing thin. It's not this. It's an old joke that we're over. And I think Trump fans are obviously just like, dude, what? This still? And so it's interesting to see Jim Carrey come in and try and like, all right, cool, let's do a good Biden. Let's try and really roast him at least. And they're trying to. They made him look a little senile, and then they made it clear that the George Stephanopoulos debate was way more kid gloves than Savannah Guthrie, who came to punch. Again, take politics out of this. That's really what the truth was of what happened in those two debates. And one could argue, well, Trump deserves it and Biden doesn't. But I'm not going to get into that. The facts are the Biden one was a lot more chill and stuck to the policies, where the NBC one was definitely pushing more on old things and bringing up the old stuff and trying to get the one up on, hey, I'm going to catch you in the lie. And no one was trying to do that with Biden, even though they all lie. But again, taking out the politics of it, it's clear the audience is more biased. The audience is annoyed because they're seeing Jim Carrey last night attempt to actually satirize Joe Biden. And so I have a clip of that. Again, this is fair use. The Twitter police, whoever. This is a film of a clip that I just want to show just to sort of get it across of what we're talking about, this commentary. So if you want to watch the full clip, go watch it. I'm going to talk over it a bit just because I can't let the robots find it.
And that's why you have to do something.
Yeah, see, look what's happening here.
You can make a difference. You can save this country.
Joe, who are you talking to?
So you're getting a sense, right? That's a sense of what they're doing here. And it's important to show just a very brief clip there because you get a sense of what they're making fun of. That's a Biden quality, easy. And so I don't even understand what they were talking about with creepy. All these people calling him creepy. Joe Biden has done that to himself way easier. I mean, go watch the YouTube clips. It's unreal that they're calling this creepy because real Joe Biden. But Jim Carrey didn't go anywhere. Like he was just more like, oh, and then they did a whole bit where he like got the audience blankets. I think I can show you some of it here. So and then here's how it opens, right? Again, one town hall with two town halls. One was thoughtful, conscious discussion of the issues. The other one featured Donald Trump. I mean, they do not hide their bias on Saturday Night Live, right? And so this was just a dueling town halls is what they did back and forth. And he comes out, clearly trying to be like, out of I don't understand the glasses thing and everything, but look, he's definitely got a little too much energy. I think the Jim Carrey-isms are coming out. That is a fair criticism of this performance that I think Jim's got to work on because Jim's a high-energy impressionist, and this Biden is a much slower, older. Even Sudeikis is and I think Sudeikis was great. Sudeikis, I think, needs to be checked and slower because Biden has slowed down. He's older. That was years ago. And so, then he's back as Trump, although he's at least seemingly less and less. He doesn't look like Trump at all anymore. But his impression, his voice is close. And so it's just, again, back and forth. They're doing this screen back and forth of all the moments you remember from the debates. Most people probably didn't even watch them, so it's just sort of like they watch this instead, I bet. So some of these jokes should go over their head. And there's not really a satire. It's just Trump bad, Biden's old is really what they do. And then Kamala Harris walks out just because they have Maya Rudolph there. And that's my biggest problem with a lot of this is I feel like they literally have Jim Carrey and Maya Rudolph locked down to be on the show. And they have to figure out a way to write them in because they're just there. And really, they don't need Maya Rudolph to do Kamala Harris right now. It's like it doesn't make sense. But she's there, so they throw her in. And so the whole sketch feels a little forced because, I don't know, did they need to make a sketch about these two debates? Probably not, but they had them in. They had a live show, and they're like, what are we going to do? All right, well, let's do the dueling debates. And that's why it's not funny. They're not doing, what the writers there feel like it's funny. They're just mimicking. This is literally like Scary Movie. All right, Scary Movie is better. Epic Movie. Do you know what I'm saying? Like literally, this could be the poster of Epic Movie. Like let's throw Kamala Harris in. Let's throw the girl who was in the back and give her a sign. It's like literally, it's turning into a parody of Saturday Night Live to me. It's just that's the problem. And then but what I was trying to get is they turned Biden at the end into like Mr. Rogers, and then they made a joke where it was like, I thought this was funny. They did like a WrestleMania joke as they're cutting back. Biden's just getting chiller, and then this one's starting into a wrestling match. That was to me the funniest sort of thing they did. And they come back and he's Bob Ross, allowing Jim Carrey to sort of play other things. And that was the joke. That was the joke. And then he makes one more. I'm not going to play that clip because I don't want to ding. But he makes a joke about how it's like, I promise you, I won't ever tweet because I don't know how to. That was probably the funniest joke because it was true. And that's the difference, right? That's the difference we got. Now, if you go through, this, New York Post, which is notoriously more of a Trump supporter, Jim Carrey finally gets laughs on SNL while Alec Baldwin treads water, and sort of goes in because, he made fun of Biden. He made fun of. There's a whole bit where it's like, unlike the president, I have a plan. Well, what's the plan? A confused voter asked Jim Carrey's Biden. Carrey shot back, it's a detailed proposal for doing or achieved something. Solid. Who's on first? It was like the airplane. What's a hospital? And he doesn't have a plan is what the joke is. Neither of them have a plan. And the reality is that's true. If you're going to be funny, you got to hit both sides. And so last night they hit Jim Carrey a little harder, but Biden fans didn't like that. They hit Biden harder and Biden fans didn't like that. And then here's Vanity Fair, who's obviously more liberal. Jim Carrey has Saturday Night Live has a Jim Carrey problem. Or maybe it's a Joe Biden problem, which was on full display. But they're going more criticizing Jim Carrey while the New York Post is saying, finally, he got laughs. That's really the breakdown of what's happening in this story. So, look, again, did he bomb? No, I think that's a misleading headline. That's why I put the question mark in the title. But the reality is it's definitely not a fan favorite because I think right now Biden supporters, as they're clearly proving in that thread I showed you, they want Biden to be perfect. Don't make fun of Biden. We need Biden to win. And that sickens me. Again, my politics out of it, that sickens me. Because, come on, you're a comedy site. You're not a political site. Like, make comedy. You got to make fun of both sides or else we're all doomed. If we can't joke on Joe Biden, then what the heck are we doing? It was like when they were making fun of George Bush I always remember their debates with Will Ferrell as George Bush and Daryl Hammond as Al Gore. Like they did that one, there was always one joke that stuck with me. It was like, all right, sum up which was a joke they did in the debate, but it was like, all right, can you sum up your whole platform in one word? And Al Gore was lockbox, which is literally what Al Gore was saying over and over again. And then for George Bush, it was Will Ferrell going, strategery. Which was such a perfect satire of George Bush, sort of confidently making up a word that he didn't know what it meant. And to me, that was, they were making fun of both. Al Gore was boring and clearly, and George Bush was just, Will Ferrell's version was just kind of lovable but idiotic. And so that to me is when they do it right. So you got to hit both sides or you're going to fail. And I do think Jim Carrey's take, I don't think he can do this forever. And I think, you know what, it was a cool experiment. I'm still a fan of Jim Carrey, but could someone do this better? Probably. At the same time, I think people are being harsh on him. I think it's the writer's fault. The writers aren't good, and we should be calling out the writers versus Jim Carrey. That's my real take on this. The Saturday Night Live writers, I don't know what it is right now, but they're maybe because they're stuck or whatever. I don't think they're finding enough comedy of mind in this because I think they're over Trump. And I think they don't know what to do about Biden without really eviscerating him. And that's the problem. The kid gloves are on Saturday Night Live right now because they're not really going into both people as hard as they should be. Because if they really did, I think, what most Americans feel, they would have butchered Biden even more than they did. So the fans out there who are complaining, you should be thankful because they are not making fun of Joe Biden as much as they could be. And that's clearly a choice that they've decided to make. So if anybody's bombing, and it's not Jim Carrey, it's the writers at Saturday Night Live for not being honest and being as funny and genuine as they should. So please subscribe here to Popcorn Planet if you haven't already. Lots more cool takes and trending topics when I find them as quick as I can. So please hit that subscribe button or check out these other videos here on Popcorn Planet. I appreciate your support. You can also follow me on social media, and we're here live every Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 9 p.m. So join us. Become part of the Popcorn Planet community. Peace, everybody.